Hi, everyone. Welcome to part 3, because this is how my life is going right now. My apologies. I was talking about if you got like a 20 out of 40 on reasons and support. So I was saying that if you got 20 out of 40, that means I'm giving you credit because you're doing something, but you were writing in a different genre for the most part. Or not for the most part, that could be one reason why you got 20 out of 40, that you're writing in an informational or expository genre rather than the argumentative genre. Or if you're writing in the argumentative genre, your reasons and support are not making much sense. They're a little confused. They aren't necessarily what we want them to be in argumentative writing or research paper writing, which is called boxed in or compartmentalized. You want to be as narrow and as if you think about like a Russian doll, how you have the big doll and then you open it and there's a smaller doll and a smaller doll and a smaller doll. You want to be the smallest doll in that Russian doll for your research papers. And that's for this class and for any other class. And you want all your little arguments to be that specific. And even if you're writing in the argumentative genre, it might be unclear to the reader what the purpose is argumentatively of the paragraphs. The organization might be unclear. So that's when you need to go in and start doing a heuristic of your own work. And a heuristic is where you start to ask yourself quality control questions. What is the purpose of this paragraph? What is the argumentative purpose of this paragraph? What am I saying here? Does my topic sentence get that argument of this body paragraph across? Does it tell the reader what this paragraph is? And in this one example, of this student paper, in their first body paragraph, I highlighted their topic sentence, and they have a really good example of an argumentative topic sentence, right? With CCTV being installed in almost every city around the world, the effectiveness is now starting to come into question, especially considering the problematic and possibly erroneous just means wrong, notion that CCTV surveillance systems help to prevent terrorism. So we can anticipate that this paragraph is going to be about CCTV surveillance systems do not help to prevent terrorism. So that's the topic sentence that contains a subclaim specifically about CCTV camera systems that is related to the overall thesis statement, but this is a specific body paragraph that contains a subclaim that is just going to focus on how surveillance systems don't help to prevent terrorism. For anyone who's wondering how to do block quotations, this student sample paper, which is the first one, does them correctly. So I would look to the sample for how to do them. They introduce them correctly, and then they format them correctly. So, and even in their second body paragraph, if we look at their next topic sentence, if I can manage to highlight things, that would be nice. CCTV system costs are on the rise, and the Department of Homeland Security has already invested millions of dollars to set up and monitor these systems. This is a vast amount of money. That's grammatically incorrect, right? That should be a semicolon. This is a vast amount of money for a system that is ineffective in performing the very tasks they were installed for. So we know this is going to be a paragraph that focuses on the costs of CCTV systems. And you can already see here there's high costs of surveillance. It's got money information in it, and here they're transitioning into the next subclaim, which is about privacy. There's adequate research on here. They are using a lot of long quotations. You do need to focus on that. about how many long quotations you're using. They're doing it correctly because and I'm going to give you a source that I usually give to my literature students about what to do with block quotations like this, or long, what we call block or long quotations, and how to address them. So I'm not going to talk about that here. So if you're getting that a lower score on the reasons and support, you're either working in the wrong genre, your reasons and support are insufficient. You could be, in my estimation as a reader, uninformed on the topic, or you're too superficial, meaning you're not digging deep enough, or you're not being thoughtful enough or well informed enough on a topic. If I'm not an expert on what everyone's writing, but I've read enough student papers and I can easily do research very quickly. I could do informal research very quickly and find things out. And if I can find things out in 5 minutes and burn a hole through your argument, that's a problem. So if I can do that, then you need to fix your argument. So, and then I'm obviously also trying, and that also is, this also has to do with, are you making sure you're not getting wrapped into, or making sure you're aware of unstated and stated assumptions as well, that you're not allowing those to not control, but maybe subconsciously control, or unintentionally control, or unintentionally come through in your body paragraphs, because if those come through, those can alienate or take away from your argument or distract the reader, and those take away the credibility or diminish the ethos of your argument. Objection rebuttal is pretty obvious. It's 5 points. So if you're not getting the 5 points, I either can't find it. It should be very clearly identified. Something as basic as a counter argument, or an objection to, or an opposition to. You want to use that always in academic writing. You want to use very clear language, because just like when we read scholarly articles, you should be doing active reading, which is scanning. You scan. I'm an expert reader, so I haven't fully read a scholarly article in years. I scan, and you scan for very specific language. Unless it's really dense language, then you have to read word for word. But you scan for very specific language, and unless you don't have that clear language, you aren't doing your reader. You aren't helping your reader out. You want to make it easier for your reader, and that's what we call readability. And you don't just want the objection, you also have to refute it. You have to have that rebuttal in there. So you want to make sure you do both, and you do it well. The conclusion, I talk about the conclusion in my discussion of the Burkean parlor, the metaphor of the Burkean parlor, in my video on selecting an appropriate topic. So I am not going to talk about it here because I've already addressed that discussion. So for a conversation about conclusions, please see that source, which I will include in the same announcement. But if you're getting a lower score, if you're not getting a full 5 points, that usually means that your conclusion is either just a summary, it's insufficient, it's underdeveloped, it doesn't include a call to action. Because remember, in the criteria, right, your summary needs to include a call for action, right? So whatever your argument is, if this is about CCTV and law enforcement, okay, great, that's an argument. Then what do we do? If we just sit around and talk about it, that's pointless. So we need a call to action in the conclusion. So if you're not getting that 5 out of 5, that it usually means something along those lines. You're missing a call to action. You're missing thoughtfulness. It's underdeveloped. Something along those lines. I don't like that it doesn't include a call to action here, because it's very clear in the criteria that you need a call to action. but it's part of it. The rest is what we call lower order concerns, even though it's worth 30 points. Your APA reference list is your making sure you're citing those at least the 4 sources. But it also is, I'm also looking for, this has a semicolon in here, this has a semicolon in here, and this has multiple semicolons. It's not just that you're citing just the 4, it's also, are you citing everything that needs to be cited? Also, if in-text citations and the citations on your reference list, oh, sorry, that's the next one, but citations on your reference list are properly formatted, and everything on your references list is included in your actual paper. Your in-text citations for this rubric area, you have the 4 different sources, which are the minimum amount of sources you have to have for the paper. Again, those are cited in the paper, and your in-text citations are formatted correctly. Please don't forget to leave out page numbers if you are quoting directly. I guarantee you that if you're quoting from a scholarly source, it's gonna have page numbers. Find the PDF. It's not hard. Download it. It's gonna have page numbers. Last one, grammar, punctuation, organization, word range. Writing is well organized and free of grammar and punctuation errors. Obviously, at the sentence level, are you writing in a way that is correct, right? I hate that word, correct, but the writing is well organized. That means syntactically correct, meaning from sentence to sentence to sentence, the transitions make sense from idea to idea to idea. It's not choppy writing. The sentences themselves, there's the syntax as well is done well, meaning that I can read it and I can follow along. The parts of speech are where they need to be. It's not wordy, but it's not so concise like engineering writing, that it's like bullet point writing, just a narrative form. It's like an intermingling of those things. Assignment is within the word range and formatted correctly. That has to do with the overall APA formatting, APA 7 formatting. And again, you can look to the student paper for what that looks like, right? There's no running head, it's just the page number. This is what APA 7 cover page looks like. It's correct. Title, I saw several papers that didn't have titles. The title gets bolded. The title gets bolded on the cover page. There are 3 double spaces, or there should be 3. I would put another one there. And then 3 spaces there. And then uniform spacing is needed. On the references page, there's always a lot of problems on the references page. This is uniform spacing. If you got any notes about uniform spacing, please see my video on setting up a document in APA, which I will also provide. References as part of APA 7 now gets bolded. No colon, centered. Yeah, so that's what that, when I talk about the formatting. For some reason, they always split up the formatting versus the citations and the in-text citations, which I kind of get, but it all is formatting. So that's all the rubric areas. So if you're not getting 10s out of 10s in those areas, that means something is wrong with that, right? Either you don't have the sources, or you have sources listed on your references page, but you're not citing them in there, or you're citing 4 sources, but there's a lot of places where other citations are needed, in-text citations. Here for this rubric area, maybe your in-text citations are not formatted correctly. Either you have punctuation incorrect or you're missing page numbers, and I want you to double check that. If you're here, right, proofread, polish, read it out loud, make an appointment with the virtual communication lab, reading out loud, I can't emphasize enough how valuable reading out loud is. It'll catch spelling errors. It can catch some punctuation errors. But just proofread. So these were drafts that I were reading. It felt like I was reading drafts, which is fine. But when I'm reading the finals, I'll be, reading them as finals. So those are all of the rubric areas. If you have specific questions about a rubric score you got, just shoot me a message and I will retake a look at your paper and what I said about, or what the score I gave you, and I'll try to provide you more information on that. But otherwise, please look at the other sources that I'm providing you. I'm providing you a lot of sources. I know they're videos. They're probably long, but they do contain a lot of important and necessary information that are all meant to set you up for success for writing research papers, not just in this class, because this class is meant to set you up for all your other classes that you take after this class in your major. So what I'm trying to impart upon you is how to be successful at engaging in research writing and effective writing. So, which is what you'll be expected to do in your major classes. So, this isn't just specific to English 123. Otherwise, that would be stupid. So, otherwise, I apologize for the 3 parts of this class. Let me know if there are any questions. And I wish everybody luck on the revisions. Thanks.